Good morning. It's Saturday, November 30th, the last day of the month. And British lawmakers are getting ready to vote on something that's called assisted dying. Now, this is a very emotional debate. There are countries that allow people to help others to die within the last 6 months of their lives. And maybe that's a good idea. Maybe that people need assistance when they're facing the end of their life. I don't know exactly what kind of assistance that would be, but in Canada and in Australia, assisted dying is within the law. And we even have such a situation in certain states in the USA. So this bill would allow mentally competent adults with fewer than 6 months to live to request and receive help to end their lives in one of the biggest social reforms in a generation. Now, I'm not against that, but it bothers me because I know that in certain situations, people who have been told that they're going to die have outlived the sentence. So if somebody thinks they have 6 months to live and they're going to take action to end their lives prematurely, maybe they're making a big mistake. Now, this new law that they're passing in England is because it's suicide. Assisted suicide is currently illegal in Britain, and it carries a prison term of up to 14 years. Now, that same sentence would remain in effect for anyone guilty of tricking or pressuring or coercing someone into making the choice to die illegally, so to speak, convincing somebody that they ought to die. I guess that would be considered a form of murder. Now, there's a big debate about this bill. It's going to be continued to be discussed in Parliament up until the time to vote, because there are many in the English political system that have emotions and moral that tend to lean against giving permission to help someone to die or allowing a person to decide that they're going to die quickly. So former prime ministers and religious leaders and judges and doctors have taken a good hard look at this situation. And even though everybody knows that birth and taxes happen to everyone, they don't want to deal with the one other thing that happens to everyone, death. So it looks like this vote to give people permission to help others to die may have many members of Parliament not sure that they want to vote on this issue, not sure which way to vote. It's a very tricky question. Do I want to favor a bill that would relieve the unnecessary suffering of many with terminal illness and provide dignity in a situation where those two things are not necessarily easy to come by? And opponents of this bill say that it could put the country on a slippery slope, and it could place vulnerable people such as the elderly or handicapped at risk because they could be put under pressure to end their lives in order not to burden their loved ones, so to speak. And then we know that there are many in this world that would take advantage of this situation because perhaps the person who is ill is also very wealthy. And maybe one of their relatives would convince them to leave this living universe because there's an inheritance involved. So this is a very tricky situation to consider that we're going to allow people to help others to die within the 6-month living period. Because we as humans know that that's not necessarily the case. There are many who have been predicted to die in a short space of time, but they have outlived it by a long period. So I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea. And I'm not sure we should allow people to do that. Not every person put in that situation is mentally competent to deal with it. So I don't know. I'm not a wizard and I'm not smarter than everybody else, and I have feelings of my own about this situation. But all in all, I'm not necessarily in favor of allowing somebody to decide it's time to die. Even though they're very sick, and even though the doctors have said that this person is going to die, and maybe they are suffering, and then there will be many people who have an illness that's painful, and they might be able to convince somebody that it's okay for them to die. But I'm not sure that these decisions should be left up to these people. Maybe the ideal situation is that if you choose to die early, that you have to get some psychiatrist or some psychologist to validate your decision and not just arbitrarily pick up a couple of friends and say, look, help me, give me this poison or, slit my wrists or do something to make me die. I don't know if that's the way to go, but I am sure that there are many out there who feel it is appropriate. And it's terrible families to watch loved ones drift into the arms of death. So I leave you with that, a conundrum of the worst kind. Live or die. A law to help people kill themselves. Not what I would be thinking to do. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.